If you are in the 50 plus club and have noticed changes in your body, if stress hits harder than it used to and recovery takes longer, or perhaps calm has somehow become more difficult to access, and underneath all of it, there is this kind of low grade exhaustion that doesn't seem to leave you even after you've had a full night's rest, then I am happy that you're here because you are not imagining it. You're not falling apart. You're not weaker than you used to be. Your nervous system, if you're after 50, is operating differently than it did at 30 or 40. And as a licensed therapist and woman in her late 50s, when I talk about this, I'm talking about this experience from the inside, just as you are likely if you clicked on this video. And by the end of this conversation, hopefully you will have a better understanding of what is actually happening in your body and why this stage of life carries a weight that earlier decades didn't seem to, and what your nervous system is asking for right now. So come on inside and let's explore this together. Here's what the research shows. As we age, our autonomic nervous system, it's the part that is responsible for regulating stress and recovery and our return to baseline calm, it becomes less flexible. And researchers call this reduced heart rate variability, which is essentially it's just a measure of how easily your body shifts between activation and rest. And the lower the variability, the harder it is to come back to center after stress. So by the time most of us reach our 50s and 60s, that flexibility has decreased significantly. And it's not because we've done anything wrong. It's simply because it's biology and biology shifts. This is why a stressful conversation that used to roll off your shoulders now leaves you depleted for 2 or 3 days, or a poor night of sleep that used to be easy to recover from now affects your entire day and sometimes even the entire week. It also explains why a schedule that you used to manage easily now leaves you exhausted or overstimulated or frustrated at times. It's because you're working with a nervous system that requires more conscious care than it did in your younger years. Here is the part I think does not get talked about enough. So I want you to think about this. If you have spent the first 4 or 5 decades of your life in chronic dysregulation, that means high stress, over functioning, unprocessed grief, caregiving responsibilities, financial pressures, raising children, or building a career, then your nervous system did not get to fully discharge that load along the way. It got carried. And the body keeps the score of what the mind has been carrying. So now in your 50s and beyond, you may be experiencing something that looks like sudden exhaustion or sudden emotional sensitivity, but in actuality, it's not so sudden. It is the accumulated weight of decades of life finally asking to be felt. Many women, especially, arrive in this stage of life and feel deeply confused. I have heard women ask questions like, why am I crying at things that did not used to make me cry? Or why am I exhausted from things I used to handle so easily? And I've heard some, question, why does my body feel like it is asking for something that I just can't quite name? And what it is asking for, what it was not allowed, is asking for what it was not allowed to ask for in earlier decades. And it is asking for rest, for stillness, for processing time. It's asking for permission to just slow down, and finally for the regulation it was rarely given. There's a particular kind of grief that arrives in this stage of life, and it is the grief of realizing how long you have been running. It is the grief of looking back at decades of exhaustion and finally understanding that your body was telling the truth the entire time, and you did not have the framework to hear it then. It is a type of grief of years spent blaming yourself for being tired. Some people describe it as being too sensitive or overwhelmed when your nervous system was simply carrying more than it was designed to carry without support. And then there is the heavier question that arrives in this season of life, and it's the one that lives quietly underneath everything else. And that question is, how much of my exhaustion was really unnecessary? And how much could have been different if I had been different? And this one I understand because I sit with this grief in my own life, and I sit with it in the people that I have worked through it. And so here's what I'll say to you if you are connecting with this message. You did not know. You did not have the language. You did not have the framework. And we did not have the cultural conversation about nervous system health that exists now. And so you were doing the best that you could with the awareness that you had. And the fact that you are watching this video, that you are seeking to understand what your body has been telling you, it is the beginning of an entirely new chapter. So here's where I want to share a bit of psychoeducation. It's not medical advice, but they are a few things that I have noticed and learned both clinically and personally about what a 50 plus nervous system can benefit from. And the first is slower mornings. Your nervous system after 50 is more sensitive to abrupt activation than it used to be. And so that means that starting your day with immediate stress, like your phone, the news, urgent emails, these things sends your nervous system into high alert before it's had a chance to wake up gently and properly. So the first 30 minutes of your morning set the tone for the entire nervous system that day. And so for me, I'm learning to protect that time, to be mindful of how I start and how I end the day. And speaking of ending the day, the next is the idea of more sleep. And it's a different relationship with rest. The cultural narrative that we need less sleep as we age is just not true for a lot of us. Many people over 50 actually need more recovery time, not less. So honoring the difference between rest and productivity is very important because they're not the same. And one of them is now medicine for our body. The third is less stimulation, not more. So younger nervous systems can tolerate constant input. Older nervous systems often cannot. So loud environments, multiple screens, busy schedules, or in overcommitted weeks now have a cumulative cost that they didn't have 20 years ago, let's say. So, and this one to me is a reminder that quieter is not boring. Quieter is actually restorative. Movement, but gentle. Though the body still needs movement after 50, but it needs movement that does not further dysregulate an already taxed nervous system. So walking, stretching, yoga, time outside, these are not lesser forms of exercise. They are, for the aging nervous system, most beneficial. And then this one, emotional processing time. This is the one that almost nobody talks about. The body cannot keep storing what the mind refuses to feel. So after 50, unprocessed emotional weight of earlier decades begins to surface, not as a weakness, but as your system finally insisting on attention. So journaling, therapy, honest conversations, solo time. These are not luxuries at this stage of life. They are nervous system maintenance. In many ways, our culture has trained us to view aging as a decline. And I want to offer a different lens. What if the increased sensitivity is not your body breaking down, but your body finally being heard? What if the lower tolerance for chaos is not a sign of becoming difficult, but a sign of becoming more honest about what truly serves you? And what if this season of life is not about doing less because you are less, but because you have finally earned the right to choose? And I'm not pretending that the physical realities of aging are easy. They are not, at least not for me, but I want to offer something here that I truly believe. And I'm saying this from the inside as well. The nervous system shifts that arrive after 50 are not betrayals. They are corrections. Your body is asking, perhaps for the first time in its entire life, to be listened to with the same care that you've spent decades giving to everyone else. And that is not a loss. That is not less. For me, that is an opportunity most people never give themselves at any age. If you are over 50 and you have been quietly carrying the question, why am I so tired? Then I hope this video gave you part of an answer. Your nervous system is not failing you. It is finally asking you for what it has always needed. And it is not too late to begin giving it to yourself. So before you go, I want to ask you something. What has your body been quietly asking you for that you have been pushing past? Is it more rest? Perhaps more quiet, more solitude, less obligation? You don't have to share it here publicly, but I do want you to acknowledge it. And if you feel compelled to, leave one word in the comments, perhaps rest, quiet, solitude, slowness, permission, or whatever the word is that comes to mind for you. I'd love to hear from you. So for now, thank you for coming along with me on this journey of exploring possibilities for the heart and mind. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.